Hello everyone, this is Jules Nobleman and today I'm gonna introduce to you the new meta. This is 3 different variations of the Murloc Shaman that we all have been seeing on the ladder these last couple weeks. I myself made the ladder destroyer, a 200 deck I played to 207 legendary, a super aggro Murloc that I've seen a lot around. We got 25,000 views on Hearthstone, and it has actually been super cool to make this for you guys. So my personal favorite in this pool will be the ladder destroyer. The mid-range is the one that stands the most out, and the Murloc would be the one that is best at returning to the game, and we will talk more about that later. So let's take a look at first my favorite, the ladder destroyer. So the ladder destroyer is the one of the 3 decks that is the best to consistently snowball in most matches. Against stuff like Rogue, it can have a rough time as they have early clear to stop the snowballing and destroy your underbelly angler, but also destroy stuff like your Murloc Raider and other things they can ping with their weapons. So in this deck we included the Stormbringer. The Stormbringer is a very good card. It's the RNG card of the Shaman, so if you did your prayers and you believe in RNGs, you have to include an RNG card in your deck to make sure that he can come and show himself and his pretty face to yourself. Okay, we are going to look into some footage of this deck so you can see more of this whacking deck. Actually, I first started off with running 2 Murloc Riders, but I later removed 1 Murloc Rider for the snip snap so we can have a stall into a 3, 6 and 9, and also it's good synergizing with things like Soul of the Murloc. Against Mage you will have your best matchup because they do not even run Snowball, most of them. Some of them run 1, some of them run 2, most likely not. When they freeze normal, you basically just fill up the board, Spirit of the Murloc like I show you here, and they instant concede. Against Hunter though, it's a little more tricky. You will often experience the matchup with Hunter as like playing toe to toe. You have to use your brain a lot in this matchup. You have to make sure you remove the mix, but at the same time, if you can't remove every mech easily on the board, possibly you can remove 1, but it's not necessarily a good idea, and you should sometimes rather go to the face, because in this matchup it is often 1, 2, 3 damage that's going to make the difference. So to make your micro plays alright, and you're actually going to have a good matchup here. As you see, I went face with the Bloodlust here, and that's because of the taunt totem we got that could obviously save us from lethal, and that is how you can often close up on these guys. Here is the fail of the Stormbringer. We could have gotten a Shivala this game, just wrecked him, but of course we didn't. That's not me. So, moving to the mid-range Murloc, the most different of all of these decks. This is probably the one that takes the most skill. I don't know, you can don't quote me for it, but I would say this is a very hard deck to play without deck tracker, so I would recommend you to play it with deck tracker. It's the only of my Murloc decks that contains a weapon. Earlier I did include Le Kim in my Murloc, the ladder destroyer, but it's not good enough. There's not enough overload. So in this deck you could run Earthshock if you meet a lot of paladins and you meet a lot of mech hunters, but that's not the case for me, so I stick with this version that can close up, that can extend when you need it. The Stormbringer is better in this deck than it is in any of the other. You can use Voltaic Burst, you can use Thunderhead. It's like you can easily fill up the board, and if you can't necessarily activate your cards this turn and do the Bloodlust to kill them, you can actually just use the Stormbringer to make them stronger, sticky, stay on the board, and Bloodlust. So this deck has ridiculous extent, and that's why we only run 1 Bloodlust, because often you will be able to catch up on your opponent or to close up on your opponent with other tools than simply the Bloodlust that we often see in Murloc decks. I will now show you basically how it's done when you're playing against Warrior. because with Doomhammer it's really hard for them to use Harrison Jones, and you can see some awesome plays when they do, like here. So I had a deck track on in this game, even though it doesn't show it. So I play Spirit of the Frog, knowing that I will, no matter what, get a Lava Burst. The Lava Burst is 5 damage to the face, the Fatigue is 3, and that's how you got a dead Dr. Boo. And that's basically it. This deck is not really supposed to be so good against them in comparison to the others. But you can definitely go for the Warrior sometimes when you get that extent, and if they don't get to look through. Even with Freeze you have your weapon, he doesn't even need to see the Rock Biter weapon before he concedes. Now we move on to my best friend, Murloc Shaman. I was about to say Murloc Shaman, but that's not kinda how it works. This one is the one that's best at returning to the game, as you will have the Shutterwork as a late tool to both reach in your hand and fill up your bowl. It has big minions that works well in with against the current meta, like Swamp Queen Hagatha, that can be triggered the second time on the Shutterwork and often be the key to get this value you need, for instance, against Warriors, which make this, I would say it's the best against Warrior. Of course you can snowball with the Ladder Destroyer, but this is consistent in so many ways when you're playing these long matches. You could include Hagatha, the hero. Unfortunately, it's gonna remove the synergy of the Murlocs and destroy them all when you do your battle cry. But you could manage. I'm sure you could. You guys are so creative, and this is only my list, so take a look at that. Alright. This is probably the least likely of all of the ones to snowball from the early game, as it has the least neutral Murlocs of them all. However, you should still be able to manage it. It has the lowest win rate of them all against Mage. For me personally, I haven't checked on Hearthstone replay. I'm sure it's probably similar. It's really good against Mage still. It's my worst Murloc deck against Mage. I would say my win percent would be, win rate 80%, something like that, would not be exaggerating. And I think the best one, the Ladder Destroyer, is probably at like 90-95%. I think I can remember the matches I lost. It's probably 5 out of 20. 5 out of 20. It's probably like 5 out of 100. I mean, so Soul of the Murloc and stuff like that will always close it up in your Hagatha. So that is obviously the one you're gonna pick if you have the choice. But basically because the Shutterwork will be really unpleasant. If you can manage to keep your Murlocs on the board, then you can often expand like this, especially with Skargil. It's like 3 drops becomes 1 drop. So with Murloc Tasty Fin, you must include 2 of these if you're running Skargil. It's simply too good. I thought this would be done. I thought this would be over. I thought there would be no more Murlocs, but here is Plague of the Murlocs, the coolest card we have seen for a long time. It's really gonna do something to the meta. Really, the Meg Palace does not like this. Besides from that, if we look into Wild, then Big Priest is not gonna like this. It's not only your own minions, like your lackeys and totems, you're gonna transform into Murlocs, but simply every single on the board. So that's it for this time. I hope you enjoyed the video, and see you around.